And the one thing that I know for sure is that you cannot do this job without deeply loving what you do and truly caring about the success of the artist. And not just because you want to have a good paycheck, but because we all work in this business for emotional reasons. And so I wish that artists would know like how deeply we care and like how much we think about what are the different strategies that we can use to help break through or to connect with fans.
My guest today is digital marketing expert and the head of marketing for ONErpm, Jenna LoMonaco. ONErpm provides artists with everything from distribution and publishing to marketing and content production, operating across 43 offices and studios in 28 countries. Jenna's marketing experience includes time at Glassnote, Kobalt, and Island Records, where she spearheaded the digital strategy to help Shawn Mendes build a massive global following. She's also helped grow the digital presence for artists like Mumford Sons, Martina McBride, New Kids on the Block, Elton John, Childish Gambino, and many more. During the interview, we talked about the evolution of digital marketing, marketing strategy for new artists, emerging trends in global music, challenges in the current music landscape, and much more. I spoke with Jenna from her office in New Jersey. I'm ashamed to say, but I didn't know anything about ONErpm. When I looked at the site, I thought, why would an artist not want to be part of this?
I love that. I love that feedback.
And because it just, covers about everything that an artist could care about.
We really,
as far as I know,
very artist friendly. That is our whole goal, is to be a company that's actually being fair and true to the artists.
Just for the people that are watching and listening, could you describe what ONErpm is?
Sure. So ONErpm started as a DIY distribution company. So originally it was just if you recorded an album, you wanted it up for sale, you would upload your music into our system and we would get it out there for you. As the years have gone on, we have become what we refer to as the modern record label, where we offer full marketing services, a full marketing team. We have global teams all around the world, 42 offices globally. And we are a top to bottom marketing company, however you need us to be. Yeah,
the good part is you can pretty much pick and choose what you need or what you think you need.
Yeah, absolutely. So some artists come to us and they really only need distribution and DSP help, and that's cool. And other artists need, the full team, the full scale, and we love that too. We love to be as involved as possible, but respect that some artists only need a little bit of help, and that's great too.
Do you offer like a consulting where people can ask you, well, what do you think we need? And just advise them on what's available?
So we do that if you sign. So let's say you sign what we call a DIY Plus deal, which is basically just, distribution and DSP. We can do that where we kind of go over like, this is what we advise you to do. We're not going to actually execute anything, but we could give you advice. But you would have to go through us for distribution in some sense in order for us to do that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Let's just change track for a second. Okay. You have quite a extensive background in music digital marketing. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about that for a second. Right now, it seems really difficult for a new artist to build their audience because of the excessive competition. Best way I can put it.
Yeah.
So how would you advise someone to go about that?
Yeah, I think right now it's evolving. We're in this point of evolution where, for a while it was solely like, okay, really focus on your short form video content. And like, that is the key, right? But I think that is starting to get tired. And that isn't the secret sauce anymore. I mean, it's a piece of it, but that's not it, right? And so we really tried to focus on fan engagement and what are the different ways that you can connect with your fans and engage with those fans. And there's a bunch of different ways to do that, utilizing social media, but then also through, street team activations, Discord pages. How do you build that personal relationship with your fans? We feel like that is, one of the key touch points right now. You have to be super active on your socials. You have to be active on short form content platforms, but you have to be posting the right content. You can't just put anything up there and hope for the best. You have to have a real strategic strategy about it. Because like you said, it's a really flooded market right now, and you have to be able to feed within the algorithm and to speak the language that your fans are speaking.
Oh, you just mentioned about fan engagement, but for many artists, as you probably have run into, the last thing they want to do is engage with their fans. They just want to create music.
I know.
So how do you deal with that?
That's the difficult thing is, quite frankly, I think you can't just be a musician anymore. I think that, and it sucks because, you know, people don't get into music to become a content creator, you know? But right now that is kind of the world that we live in. And every now and then an artist escapes it. But right now you have to go into it being willing to have that conversation with your fans, work with a team who could help you figure out what is the right way to do that in a way that makes you feel comfortable. Because if you're doing something that you hate, and if you hate the content that you're creating or being forced to create content, you're going to be able to see it and then nobody's going to care anyway. Now you're just wasting your time.
You know, it's funny because I have a digital marketing team for what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about some Facebook ads and what the strategy was. And they said the big thing that's working right now are walk-in talks.
Mm-hmm.
I hate doing walk-in talks, but I did it reluctantly. And of course, what works the best for me, it's those walk-in talk ads. And again, it's something that I was very reluctant to do, but it just goes to show you that sometimes you have to go against what your intuition is telling you.
Yeah.
When it comes to this.
Yeah, unfortunately. It's a weird landscape. It can't just be, you know, I always talk about how, like, when I was a kid, you'd buy a CD and you'd look at the liner notes, and I would like obsessively read every inch of the liner notes. Like, and that was how I attached myself to that artist. And it's so much more complicated these days.
Yeah, but isn't there a trend to go back to that, to have more information on a release?
Well, yeah. I mean, for a minute, there was like a throwback to like a digital like booklet, but I don't think it really worked. But I mean, essentially, that's what everybody's looking for, is some sort of connection. People write music that makes you feel like they understand you. And how are you going to take that feeling and expand upon it further? That's the essence of what it is that we're trying to do.
I live very close to 2 state-of-the-art mastering houses.
Mm-hmm.
They're my friends, so I like to go visit them. And when I do, they inevitably will play me something, and it will be great. And I'll say, oh, so what are they going to do with it? And there's a sly look that says, they don't know. So they record something, and maybe fantastic music, but they have no idea what to do afterwards.
Right.
What would you suggest to someone that's kind of in that boat?
Well, I think that if it's somebody who has some understanding of where their fans live, right? Like, I think it's getting your music out in a way that allows people to digest it. So something that you can do is start teasing that music on social platforms, like putting it up on TikTok and saying, like, here's 30 seconds of 3 songs. Like, which one do you guys love? Which one would you put out first? And start talking about the creative process and why you recorded that music, what inspired you behind it, and to start speaking about the music ahead of time. I feel like that's a good way to start getting people excited about it and seeing who connects. And then using all of the platforms available to you, but using them in the way that each platform functions, right? So the audience that you have on TikTok, Reels, and Shorts are all 3 different audiences, which means you have to speak to them in their own language and feed them content they want to see. Okay,
you just mentioned TikTok. What do you think is going to happen if it does get banned in the United States?
I mean, you know, it's interesting because last time we thought like it was really going to happen, everybody started using that app from China. It was called, I can't even remember it.
Yeah. I know which one you mean.
Yeah, which actually was a really like interesting like experience. And I actually really enjoyed that experience for a few weeks. But they're just going to migrate to another platform, right? Like essentially people are addicted to short form content, right? Like it is a thing that keeps people's minds busy. It's how they connect with other people. The problem with TikTok going away is the algorithm is so specific and the culture on TikTok is so different than the other platforms. I think that's what people are really going to miss. I think that it could lead to another platform rising up. And that might actually be really exciting, because I feel like I keep saying this to friends that work in music is like, I feel like everything feels so tired right now and we need something fresh. So, I mean, I don't want TikTok to go away, but if it did, perhaps something new and exciting will pop its head up.
You know, your sentiment, I feel that exactly, but I couldn't explain it the same way as you just did. Everything feels tired.
Yeah.
Socially, things haven't changed in a while.
Mm-hmm.
There hasn't been a new technology. AI doesn't really count when it comes to this, but there hasn't been a new breakthrough here that's got everyone excited.
Yeah, we need that. We need that right now.
Let's talk about AI for a second. And, you know, there's a big pushback. Musicians that are real musicians that have spent a lot of time working on their craft, and suddenly they're being taken over by a lot of people who are overtaken by music that's been created by a bot.
Right.
Which makes the competition even worse.
Mm-hmm. There's enough humans creating music. I don't think that we need robot music. You know, I think that AI is a really great tool, but it needs to be used in the right way, right? And I think that using AI for marketing, maybe you want to test music through AI, using it as a tool, having it be the actual creator of the music, it feels wrong. And also, I don't know, music is supposed to be about human emotion, human experience, you know? And I think that it takes away something really special about the whole purpose of why we connect to music.
I was driving my car the other day. There's an FM station that I like to listen to here. It's a college station. And a song came on, and I thought to myself, is this AI or not? It supposedly was not AI. It was a real artist, but it sounded so homogenized. And it made me think, you know, a lot of music is homogenized today. You talk about being stale. Well, music in sort of that same way, or waiting for a breakthrough, a new trend, and it hasn't happened in a long time. You have offices all over the world. Do you see anything happening anywhere that might turn into a new trend?
Not like an obvious thing. I do think that music that's coming out of Africa is really interesting right now. And I think it's something that is very easy, like, to connect with, in the sense of like, the beat is there, the music is there. It's very easy to connect with in many languages and many cultures. And so Africa and the music coming out of Africa is something we are very excited about right now. Yeah, that's what I would say. Yeah,
I hear a lot about that as well. Africa's the hot place right now. And certainly for streaming platforms, that's where the big growth is coming from.
Right. Yeah.
Africa.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, let's talk about your background for a second.
Okay.
Let's talk about your journey.
Uh-huh.
So how did you get into the music business?
So I was just a kid who really loved music. You know, like most teenagers, I suffered from depression, and music was what helped me get through that. And when I went to college, I knew that I wanted to work in music somehow, but I didn't know anything about the music industry or how to get into it. And so what I knew is that artists have to record an album somewhere, right? So I changed schools, and I went to school for audio engineering, and I did that. And then I started assistant engineering. I was a studio manager for a while. It was a really great experience and something that I'll always cherish. But I realized that like the creation of the music is not where my talents live. So I actually ended up quitting doing that. And I went back to, I just was an intern. And so I started interning. And I interned at a PR firm. And I sort of just kind of like found what my niche was, which fell into the beginnings of digital marketing. And I kind of worked my way up, and my role evolved from doing, you know, PR, digital marketing, into now I oversee the entire marketing team, and I'm starting to branch out into global marketing as well.
You started in the business at the beginning of digital marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about the changes that you've seen.
Oh my God, it's so different. So like my first ever job was they would have me run MySpace pages, right? So it kind of was just social media marketing, the same, just different, the beginnings of it. I would say that like the big difference, especially when I worked at Glassnote and I was working with like Phoenix and Mumford and Sons and Temper Trap, was that blogs were everything. And that was the glory days of blogs. And that was a really exciting time because I think that we were able to really connect ourselves with like true lovers of music, right? Like you were talking to people every day who deeply understood music and what makes it special and why they should talk about it. And it was a very like direct relationship of like, this is really great music. And these are people that are very specifically looking for really great music to then speak to an audience of people who really are hungry for music, right? And so it was this really direct line. Whereas I feel now it's a pop culture moment, right? We're looking for what do people care about culturally? How do you connect your music to a cultural moment? And it's so much less about just people who are hungry to hear incredible art. That's not what it is anymore. And it's actually kind of sad, and in some ways can be exciting because it offers a lot of opportunities. But like you said, there's so many more people creating music. I mean, back then people were still, using iTunes and, some buying physical a little bit, but mostly it was through iTunes. And now with streaming, it's just the market is so flooded. There's so many people creating music and there's so many people trying to break through to people's attention, and people's attention span is so much less. I mean, even if you look at like music video viewership is down because people don't have the attention span to watch a 3.5-minute music video, which is crazy, right? So you have to really have an engaged fan who's going to want to watch your full music video. So I think that it's evolved into a place where people have less attention for you and they're not necessarily just looking for good music. They're looking for a moment, which sounds really depressing. I didn't mean to be such a bummer.
Well, yeah. No, you're reflecting the times.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. While you're talking, it dawned on me here that, traditional songs, popular songs, 3 minutes, 4 minutes in that range. But now with short form video, we're talking anywhere from 7 seconds to 30 seconds. And it just occurred to me, that's almost like writing a jingle.
Yeah.
Or writing something, writing a commercial of some type.
Yeah. Well, something I think is really interesting and kind of funny is during COVID, like 90% of the music, 80% of music on radio, like top 40 radio, were songs that were trending on TikTok because we were living in a world where we all were just functioning on TikTok. And a lot of that stuff never broke through because we realized that just because 30 seconds of a song is really great and catchy and you could dance to or make a content to does not make a good song. And so yeah. I think that, very quickly was no longer the case. You need a bigger story than just trending on TikTok because we learned that harsh lesson.
Yeah. So YouTube. Still really big and obviously the second biggest search engine.
Absolutely.
How much time would you recommend an artist spend on content creation just for YouTube?
A ton. That is one of the major things that we work with our artists on. So ONErpm has one of the world's largest MCNs, multi-channel networks on YouTube. And I feel that YouTube is one of those platforms that are really overlooked because you can make really good money on YouTube if you do it the right way, right? And I think so often people are like, I'm just going to make a music video and upload it and forget about it, but it needs to be maintained. So what our team does is we have a whole team that does optimization of making sure your video is tagged right, your end cards are correct, your description is correct, really making sure the nuances of it is set. But then are you commenting back to people? Are you using your community tab? What are you posting on shorts to link back to the video, or even what are you putting on shorts in general? How are you using live redirect? Like, there are so many tools on YouTube that you can be using. And we actually have done experiments where we'll take an artist that has like a decent YouTube following, but they just aren't doing any of the best practices. And we'll say, okay, just listen to us for 2 or 3 months. And we promise you're going to see a jump in your revenue. And the ones that stick to it and do it see a massive increase. You just have to use the platform properly. There's a real audience there, and it's a shame to not pay attention to it.
But that's, it's another skill set now.
It is, which is why you need a team of people.
Yeah.
It's
a specialized skill set too.
Yes.
So, yeah. Given where we're at today and many of the reservations that you have on the business, what do you think is like the biggest challenge that we're facing?
I really think it is how hard it is to break through. And like what we were talking about earlier, I really think that there's a crowded market space, and I think there's really good music that isn't being heard. And so I think that's one of our biggest challenges. I think in the music industry side, we're in a world where people are overpaying for record deals and everybody's just bidding against each other. And I think that is also not good in the long run. So I would say those are the two focuses.
Does terrestrial radio matter anymore?
I think it matters because everybody has radio in their car, right? I think people of all ages still, in some way, shape, or form, use radio. I think it's the final layer. It's the cherry on top. I don't think anybody's breaking because of radio anymore. I think once you've broken, then you get on radio. Like I said, it's just a little kiss at the top. But yeah, it's not a tool in any way.
I just saw a study that named the top 10 radio stations in the United States. And surprisingly enough, I think 9 out of 10 were music oriented, which I would have thought it would have been talk or sports or something.
Right.
Like
that. Yeah.
But no, they were music stations.
Yeah.
So that sort of gives you hope. But again, nobody breaks from that anymore. It's
no, it's when you've already hit a certain threshold that you're getting to radio. And it's not even worth trying. Like, that's the other piece of it, is radio is massively expensive, right? So unless you know for sure that you have some kind of shot and you have all the data to back it up, it's not even worth trying, because nobody has that kind of money anymore to really go for it unless you have all of the signs, and it takes a while to get those talking points.
You mentioned before about ONErpm being a modern record label, which you offer all the accoutrements that you would find in a record label, but it's mostly a do-it-yourself model. Is there a part ONErpm is actually signing artists in a traditional fashion?
Oh yeah, no, that's mostly what we do, is mostly direct artist deals. And so you can opt for a DIY, but the majority of the deals that we have, you have project managers, DSP team to pitch to the DSPs, an advertising team, influencer marketing. We have sync, we have their YouTube strategy, we have digital strategy. So we have a full scale marketing team. The only things that we don't have in house are radio and PR. We hire out for those things. It just makes more sense. But yeah, we have many artists that we are the full team for.
It's funny you mentioned PR, and PR has changed too. You talk about digital marketing changing. Boy, that is way different. And you probably do too. I get press releases all day long from everywhere. I'm shocked at how bad a lot of them are. And I'm thinking to myself, are you actually trying to get somebody to not read this? Because you're doing a good job. So Anyway,
Yeah, I mean, listen, when I worked for the PR company, I did digital PR because it was separated between websites and press and TV. And if you did digital PR, wasn't as cool, and you didn't get as much respect as the print publicist. And now it's like there's barely even digital press anymore.
Yeah, I know it's really changed.
It's a bummer.
What don't people know about what you do that you wish they did?
I always say that, like, I wish that artists knew how emotionally connected we are with them truly. I think that there's often this misunderstanding that, like, especially like traditional label people or just people behind the scenes, it's like, you're just doing it for clout, or, you're just doing a job and you're cranking it out and you're going home. And the one thing that I know for sure is that you cannot do this job without deeply loving what you do and truly caring about the success of the artist. And not just because you want to have a good paycheck, but because we all work in this business for emotional reasons. And so I wish that artists would know, like, how deeply we care, and like how much we think about what are the different strategies that we can use to help break through or to connect with fans. I wish that they could know how much we think that through and how personal we see it as well.
And I'm glad you say that, because I know a lot of ex-label people and people who have spent their careers in labels, some retired, some near retirement. And when we get together and they start to tell stories, it's exactly the same thing, even though it may be they're talking about something from the 90s or the 80s even, but it's the same thing, that how emotionally invested they were in what they were doing, and the artists, the connection they had and they still have it today.
Oh, absolutely. I always say, like, there are certain albums in my career that, like, if I see it, it's almost like it's like if I see the album in like a store or somebody's like going through stuff, like it's almost like it's like an old friend. You know what I mean? Like there's such a bond between you and the music that you work. It's a really special thing.
I didn't see this on the ONErpm website, but maybe I just overlooked it. But do you also have the ability to help an artist with physical merchandise?
We can, but it's not something that we do often. It's not something that every artist really cares to do. So it's not one of our main services, but if it's something that's really important to an artist, we can execute.
Like vinyl?
Yeah. We would we hire a third party partner to handle that, but we have companies that we work with often.
Is vinyl a good strategy anymore?
I think vinyl is a good strategy if you have a rabid fan base, because the truth is, I think most people don't actually listen to their vinyl, but it's a collector's item. And so if you have a fan base that like is really rabid, they will often want to have that like piece to keep.
Good question here. So given that the tariffs are happening in the United States, all of the components to make a vinyl record are getting a lot more expensive. Is there a ceiling as to what even a rabid fan would pay?
I mean, yeah, I think so. I mean, because of that problem, I think everything is more expensive and we all have less money. And so I think people are going to inevitably have to be more choosy with what they spend their money on, you know? So it will be interesting to see, because of that point, like how much people are willing to spend. And like you said, vinyl isn't as expensive as it is to produce, right? And then now with all of these extra problems that we have, you know, adding that on top of it, it will be interesting to see, you know, how people choose to allocate their money with all of this happening. Sadly, it's a sad situation.
Last question, Jenna. And thank you so much for your time. I'm so glad we could do this and get a chance to talk. What's the best piece of advice that maybe you learned along the way, or maybe somebody imparted to you?
I think the thing that I've learned is we do this because we're passionate about it, whether it's the people behind the scenes or people creating music. And you have to work harder than anybody else to get to break through, right? And I think we're in this world right now where everybody wants balance. And I am a big advocate of like mental health and making sure you don't burn yourself out. But I think the truth of the matter is the harder you work and the more passionate, work with passion. The more passion that you work with, the more you will succeed. If you're just doing something to do it, you're never going to see true success. You know, I really gave my whole 20s and a lot of my 30s to my career and to making sure that I can sink myself into my artist's work. And it was hard, right? But I don't regret that at all. And I think that I've helped create some really special moments. And so I think there's still something to be said about real hard work and pushing through for greatness.
Thanks for listening and being in my inner circle. Remember, if you have any questions or comments, you can send them to questions@bobbyowsinski.com. And also learn all about the latest in music, audio, and production news, and find out about openings for my latest online classes at bobbyowsinski.com. This is Bobby Owsinski. I will see you next time.